Have you ever seen a movie where the rocket ship is breaking through the atmosphere and the G-force is so strong that you can see the tension on the faces of the bodies that you're watching moving through space? Their eyes look like they're going to bulge out and their head looks like it's going to explode, and you can tell that they can hardly stand it, and then all of a sudden they break through, and then the relief of that tension is no longer there. That's what meditating is like. No, not quite. Not quite, but it's sort of kind of like that. Sort of kind of like that, because your goal is to quiet your mind. But when you first start to quiet your mind isn't quieted. So you have a sort of internal battle going on, because you want to quiet your mind, but it isn't. You want to quiet your mind, but it isn't. You want to quiet your mind, and it isn't. And you're so focused on quieting your mind, you can't. And so we say, listen to the air conditioner. It's so beautifully boring. You have no judgment about it. I've heard better. You don't feel that way. So you just let your mind relax. And at first there's a tension. There's a tension, isn't there? You know what we're talking about? We're talking about the tension of releasing resistance, which is easily accomplished by releasing thought. But there's a tension in releasing thought because you've trained your minds to focus. And your mind doesn't want to really release thought. Your mind wants to focus on something. And the law of attraction is going to cause your mind to focus on the most active thought, which in most cases, we love you so much, is resistant in nature to some degree. So when you meditate, you got to focus on something and let that tension be there because it's natural, but just keep focusing until you break through the atmosphere. You will. And when you do, sweet relief will come over you. That's a state of non-resistance. And when you do that, we're talking about 15 or 20 minutes to get there. When you do that, now everything in your vortex you are allowing. But we don't want you to think about it. We want you to just sit in that relief, in that release, in that absence of resistance. And know, but don't know it so much that you're thinking. Just know that what's in your vortex is now calling you, and there's no resistance in you. So you're going. And as you go, now a thought will occur to you, an impulse will occur to you. And when it comes, think about that. But we're talking about what Esther is writing as she writes her segment of intention, as she's going to meditate. She's begun writing something like this. Not the same words every time, but the same intention. I'm going to sit for 20 minutes or so. I'm going to turn off my phone and sit in a place where there will not be interruptions. And I'm going to quiet my mind. I'm going to quiet my mind by focusing on this sound. Sometimes it's a sound in her house. The refrigerator makes a really nice sound, the condenser. The air conditioner makes a really nice sound, but sometimes it turns on and off. So she has an app on her phone. It's the most spiritual app in the whole world. It's called Central Air. It's just this nice, steady, sort of atmospheric buzz that she focuses on. Her statement of intention is, I'm going to focus on this sound of silence, so to speak, this sound, and I'm going to allow my vibration to rise. And then this is the key word that she has just discovered recently, and this is everything that we're leading up to with you. And then I'm going to watch the movie if it happens. I'm going to watch the movie if it happens. Not, I'm going to create a movie. Not, I'm going to take this issue and I'm going to work it over good. Because that's a reintroduction of the resistances she is talking about letting go of. I'm just going to watch the movie. I'm going to watch the non-resistant movie that my inner being has queued up for me. So I have one singular intention, and that is to release any resistance that I have. Okay. Okay, now that made perfect sense to you, didn't it? Your meditations are going to be so much more pleasurable from now on. Pleasurable and therefore powerful, but pleasurable is what we're going for. But therefore more powerful, but pleasurable is what we're going for. Because if you go for the power of it, you're going to try to create within it. If you go for the pleasure of it, you'll chill. You'll allow it to be. So you got that, didn't you? Now what we're saying to you is that's the same stance that we want you to now be relative to everything that you want, because you've done the work. You have sifted through the data. You've done step 1. Source has gathered the cooperative components. Step 2 is done. Now your work relative to this subject is to let it be. Let it come to you. Don't try to direct it. That makes you focus in the same way that we were giving the example of. It makes you activate vibrations that are in your way. You are so close, not to this end result, to this never-ending pattern and path of results. You're not ever going to get it done. You're not ever going to get to the end, but you're going to have so much pleasure as the universe says, here you go. And you say, I see that. And then the universe says, here you go. And you say, I see that. The words that are coming from Esther these days are, I am bowled over by my now awareness of the cooperative universe that is acting on my behalf. She said it's like problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution, or question, answer, question, answer, question, answer, question, answer. And if the question and the answer are really close together, or the problem or the solution are so close together, then you have that feeling of your hands in the clay, but you don't mess it up by focusing upon a problem when you're not close enough to the solution to let it in. Is that helpful? So we're going to ask you a series of questions. Do you acknowledge that that's not your nature? Do you acknowledge that you are a powerful thinker and that you have long been making things happen with your thought? That by your sheer will and powerful intent that you stand out in the crowd because you're more focused than almost anybody you know? Will you admit that it's been pretty tense for as long as you can remember? And are you now getting it, that that tension, while you've earned it, and it is admirable in a physical environment where the harder you try and the more you sacrifice and the more effort you make, the more you're rewarded from the puny little pile, that there's not steady, continuous bliss and satisfaction and ease and flow and a feeling of worthiness and blessedness in that. You're ready for flipping that switch. You really are. And sometimes you do it. But there is a tension about you that we would just put under the big label of, I can make this happen. And we want to say to you, to all of you, you've already made it happen. Now you want to let it in. But when you say, I can make this happen, then you're still trying to make it happen, which means you're not ready to let it in, which means everything that's queued up for you can't get in because you're still trying to make it happen. And when you're making it happen, you're still considering the contrast. Well, you can launch rockets all day, every day, and there is a certain satisfaction in that. But, compared to getting in this flow of divine intervention, divine cooperation, where all that is, who knows everything that you desire and all of the reasons behind it, and where every piece of satisfaction is. Did you notice? Every piece of satisfaction, not every piece of the puzzle that'll move it along, every piece of satisfaction. So our question is, can you accept, we know it feels like we're sort of bullying you into this, but it's because we feel it's so powerful. Can you accept that? Your Honor, Abraham is leading the witness. Can you accept that? The feeling of satisfaction and the accomplishment of the powerful state of being that you want are the same thing. But with emphasis on the pleasure, you can be there now. And with emphasis on the power, you hold it off. Can you feel the difference? When you say, I'm going to tune in and I'm going to take this alignment and then I'm going to accomplish this, you point right at the problem that needs to be overcome. But when you are looking for the pleasure of it, now You've just broken through the atmosphere. Now you're feeling the release of it. And now you're letting the universe have its way with you, which requires trust that you're worthy, and trust that your inner being knows what you want, and trust that the cooperative components have been gathered, and trust that you're going to like it as you move along. This is what happens with almost all of you. You put your trust in others who don't hold you as their steady object of attention. You trust another human to make you their priority, and it defies the selfish nature that all are born with. Everyone is selfishly inspired because they are attracting to their point of attraction. And so your inner being is you. Your inner being is attracting to you, you see. And so that's why we use words like trust the process, trust the feeling, trust the laws of the universe, trust the law of attraction. And in time, you will trust your worthy nature. You will trust the love that the universe has for you. You will trust the well-being of your life experience. You will trust it. Trust is the only word Esther can find that means what you will understand as we focus upon this. You see, you can look, you can see with your eyes and smell, you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch. And so that's a reality that you acknowledge is real. But what's over here in the vortex, your physical senses can't see it or hear it or smell it or taste it or touch it. And so it requires a trust. Well, what is that? Abraham, you're asking me to now blindly not look and not see and not hear and not smell and not taste and not touch. You're asking me to not use any of the resources that I am comfortable in using and to look somewhere where I can't see it, just take your word for it that it's over there. And we say, that's why we use the word trust. But in a little while, it won't be a stretch to trust it because you'll identify the feeling of love when it's there, the feeling of confidence. You'll come to rely or trust the emotions. So we've been appealing to your logic, and we want to help you combine with you. And as we explain to you the way the laws of the universe work, and then we speak to you about things that you can feel. Like when we were talking about meditation, a lot of you got that. When we're talking about the feeling of release, you get that. When we're talking about moving towards something that feels good rather than away from what you want, which always feels bad, you don't have to trust your emotions. You understand that. You understand the difference between the way loving someone feels and the way hating someone feels. Have you ever, a same person, it's someone you know and you say you love them in your life experience. I love this person, but you're talking smack about them. Do you know what talking smack about them feels like? You're just facing reality, we know. You know what talking smack about them feels like? And you know what a genuine appreciation of them in a moment feels like? Do you know the feeling of goosebumps that sort of comes over you when you get focused upon something in alignment with your inner being? This isn't trust. This is stuff you know. Your guidance system works and you know it. So we're just asking you to trust that when it feels good, it is, and when it doesn't feel good, it isn't. That when it feels good, you're moving in the direction of who you really are and what you want and what you've expanded to. And when it doesn't feel good, you're not. So it doesn't require trust in the sense that you're flying blind. Not at all. Instead, you've got guidance within you that is letting you know, whew, this feels good, you see. Life is supposed to feel good to you. It is supposed to feel good to you. In every moment, it is supposed to feel good to you. Feel how far you've come in understanding just in this brief time that we've been together. Just take it easy and don't try so hard and don't feel like you need to sacrifice. Just feel that you are already blessed as best you can, and notice the things that the universe does out of sheer love and appreciation of you. And before you know it, you'll just be in that place mostly. There is so much love here for you, and for now, we are complete.